Arcnora, discover, question, wonder. After the war of the Titans, silence, but not the peaceful kind. The kind that trembles beneath the surface. A silence heavy with power. Paralyzed by what comes next. Because the moment Kronos fell, the world did not heal. It fractured. And from that fracture, a new order emerged. Not from love, not from wisdom, but from necessity. 3 brothers, standing above the ruins of their father's kingdom, one with blood on his hands, and destiny in his shadow. Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, they did not inherit the world. They divided it. Not with a vision, not with a plan, but by casting lots, leaving it to fate. Zeus took the sky, Poseidon the sea, and Hades was left with the underworld. But here's the part most myths will not tell you. It was not random, it was not fair, and it was not the end of anything. It was the beginning of boundaries. 3 realms, 3 rulers, 3 forbidden doors. Because what lies in the sky is unreachable. What moves beneath the waves is unknowable. What waits in the underworld is unspeakable. Zeus, now king of the gods, did not rule alone. He ruled from above, high, distant, watching. But power gained from lightning is still power taken by force. Some say Zeus is order, justice, authority. But what if he is just control? A divine reflection of the very systems we built. Governments, laws, surveillance. He does not just strike with thunder. He silences with structure. Then there is Poseidon, the earth shaker. Lord of oceans, but not just waves and salt. Poseidon's realm hides something deeper. Plato once wrote of Atlantis. A powerful civilization lost beneath the sea. Its people, children of Poseidon. Its fall, a punishment. What if Atlantis was not just a myth, but a memory? What if Poseidon is not just god of water, but of forgotten empires and emotional storms? He does not shake the earth to destroy. He shakes it to remind us we are standing on borrowed ground. And then there is Hades. The name itself means the unseen, and that is what he rules. Not fire, not torture. Silence. Hades does not kill. He does not chase. He waits, as the end we pretend is not coming. But in the ancient mystery cults, they knew better. Hades was not just death. He was the gatekeeper of truth, of transformation, of rebirth. To enter Hades was not punishment. It was initiation. So think about this. Before you imagine him as a villain, he does not lie. He does not pretend. He only receives what all life must eventually give. 3 brothers, 3 truths, sky, sea, shadow. And yet, earth was left unclaimed. Gaia, the mother of all, torn apart by war, and passed between gods like spoils of battle. She birthed them all, and received nothing. But here's the question that haunts me. If even the gods must divide the world to avoid destroying it, what hope do we have? If every realm must stay separate to survive, what happens the moment those boundaries begin to blur? Because every throne shakes eventually, even the ones carved in heaven. If you have followed this far, you are not just watching, you are remembering. So subscribe to Arcnora, because what is coming next reveals even more than myth. It reveals us. Power, no matter how divinely granted, has a tendency to unravel. At first, the division between Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades brought structure to a world scorched by war. It was order imposed on the ashes of chaos. But what the myths do not always say is that beneath this divine symmetry, something darker was growing. Because no division is ever perfect, and no god is ever truly satisfied. Zeus claimed the heavens, infinite, high, out of reach. But the sky is distant, detached. He sits above, surrounded by clouds and thunder, but isolated from the world he believes he controls. Poseidon took the sea, vast, volatile, unknowable, but the ocean is never still. It swells with secrets, remembers what was lost, and it holds grudges deeper than any trench. And Hades accepted what none of the others dared. He did not fight for glory, did not argue. He took the underworld, silently, completely. But the earth Gaia was left to all and to none. She had birthed the Titans, carried the gods, swallowed their wars and their weapons. And when it was over, she was scarred. Scarred and forgotten. They did not share her. They exploited her. Gaia was not ruled. She was used. And that is where balance began to break. Poseidon's wrath was not just rage. It was memory. His earthquakes were not chaos. They were protest. Each tremor a cry from the deep, reminding the world that the sea does not sleep beneath injustice. Hades' silence was not indifference. It was patience. He watched the surface world dilute itself with power and permanence, knowing that all things eventually descend. Zeus, sensing the tension, grew rigid. He struck harder. He ruled tighter. He built systems, laws, punishments, not to bring peace, but to preserve his throne. But thrones are not eternal, even those carved in clouds. The boundaries between realms once sacred and strong began to blur. Storms lashed with fury beyond measure. Earthquakes shattered mountains. Voices whispered from caves that had not breathed air in centuries. In some places, the sea swallowed the land. In others, the dead were said to walk in dreams. In the sky, lightning no longer obeyed command. The myths call these omens warnings. But what if they are something else? What if they are not signs, but symptoms? What if the world is not just remembering its gods, but reawakening them? Today we live in a world where boundaries have collapsed. We reach into the sky with machines. We dive into the deepest oceans. We simulate worlds within screens. It feels modern, feels advanced. But is it? Or are we trespassing? The ancients spoke of sacred spaces. Places not meant to be touched. Waters not meant to be disturbed. Silences not meant to be broken. Maybe we never stopped believing in the gods. Maybe we just renamed them. Control became technology. Power became progress. Death became denial. But the patterns remain, because the moment humans try to master what should not be mastered, the realm of Poseidon surges, the gates of Hades stir, and the skies crack open with thunder, not summoned by nature, but by warning. Atlantis, Pompeii, tsunamis, plagues, entire civilizations lost not by chance but by cycle. A cycle the Greeks encoded in myth. A cycle of rise and rule and fall. A cycle that begins with forgetting. Forgetting the price of control. Forgetting the silence beneath the world. Forgetting that even gods are bound by laws older than themselves. Because before Zeus ruled the sky was wild. Before Poseidon ruled the sea was free. Before Hades claimed the dead, death had no name. Before all of them there was chaos. Not chaos as disorder, but chaos as origin, as void, as truth, and chaos as patient. The myths were never meant to be bedtime stories. They were warnings dressed as wonder. Maps carved into memory telling us not just where we came from, but where we may return. Because every empire falls, every god fades, and every realm in time dissolves. What remains is the silence beneath. The silence of Hades, the rage of Poseidon, the judgment of Zeus, and the wound of Gaia. So ask yourself, when the sky rages, the sea rises, and the earth trembles, is it weather or memory? When you dream of cities you have never seen and feel drawn to oceans you have never touched, is it fantasy or recall? What if the myths were not written to explain the past, but to prepare us for what returns? Because if the realms begin to merge again, sky, sea, and shadow, the gods stir in the places we have claimed as ours, there will be no warning. There will only be recognition. Recognition and reckoning. And maybe that is the final truth. We were never meant to rule the realms. We were only ever meant to remember them. If you are still watching, it means something inside you remembers too. So subscribe to Arcnora. Because the more of us that search, the closer we get to what was hidden, what was buried, and what might be coming back.